Here are some interior shots I captured with the One X2. It's not crazy high quality, but it's good enough for estate agents to show mid-range properties. So let me show you how I did it. To follow along this tutorial, you will need the Best360 Monopod, Insta360 Studio, Photoshop and GoPro VR player. I have tested all the photo modes on the One X2 and HDR Photo mode is the best mode for interior shots. When you take a standard photo of a room, it's highly likely the windows will blow out because the camera is trying to make sure the inside of the room is perfectly exposed. HDR Photo mode will take a set of photos at different exposures simultaneously. It will take dark photos so the highlights and windows are exposed correctly, and it will take bright photos so the shadows and the room is exposed correctly. When you merge all these photos together into a single HDR photo, then this photo has all the information about the room, the windows, the shadows and highlights, creating a HDR high dynamic range photo. However, HDR photo mode is limited on the One X2 because you can only take a photo which is 4 stops darker and 4 stops brighter, and sometimes 4 stops darker isn't dark enough to capture all the information in the windows because it's just so bright outside. The only way around this problem is to capture your photos really early in the morning or really late in the afternoon when the sun isn't shining so bright. HDR Photo mode will also ensure that the stitch line is consistent throughout the set of photos. If you try to recreate a HDR photo using any other photo mode, then each photo will have a different stitch line, and when you stitch these photos together, then you will always end up with a bad stitch line. Let's set up where to take our HDR photo. I extended the Best360 Monopod till the One X2 lenses are at my eye level, which is about 165 centimeters. I position the One X2 at the end of the room where there is the most amount of space and in line with the front door so you get an idea of where the start and end of the room is. I try to point the stitch line of the One X2 in the area which has the least going on. So here I am pointing the left stitch line to the plain white wall and the right stitch line to the front door, which is far away. Next, you need to capture your HDR photo. So turn on the One X2 and open the Insta360 app. Tap the camera button to see a preview, and I prefer to use my phone to control the One X2 so I can see a preview and make sure that everything looks okay. And I can also leave the room and press the shutter button remotely. On the app, go to Photo, Settings, and select HDR Photo mode. Auto exposure bracketing is the amount of photos you want to capture in your set. I suggest 5. And the stops difference is how bright or dark you want your brightest and darkest photo to be. I suggest ±2 to get the highest dynamic range possible. Finally, select RAW plus INSP. INSP is basically just a JPEG file. RAW files are far more superior than INSP files. If you want high quality photos, then you should only be using RAW files. That's all your settings done. Now tap the shutter button to capture your scene. If you open the HDR photo in the Insta360 app, then it will create a HDR photo using the INSP files. To process the RAW files, you must use Insta360 Studio instead. That's it for part 1. Now you know how to capture the best interior photos using your One X2. And in part 2, I will show you how to edit your 360 photo to make it look really good. And I'll show you how to remove the tripod legs from the nadir of your 360 photo. So I'll see you in part 2.